Welcome to the Grow Strong Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Meredith Bell, and I interview business leaders who are committed to their own growth and the development of everyone on their team. If you enjoy my podcast, be sure to subscribe and rate it on your favorite podcast platform. Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Strong Leaders podcast. I've been publishing my podcast since June of 2019 for more than 5 years. And during all that time, I've never done a solo episode. That's changing as of today because I've had requests from a number of my listeners asking me to share my own experiences and insights around leadership. And so I've decided that once a month, I'm going to do an episode by myself where I share specific ideas that you'll find useful and practical in your life as a leader and in your life in general. For this first episode, I'm going to focus on the topic of character, what it is, and 2 specific areas that show why it's essential to effective leadership. And I have a reason for this. My business partner, Denny Coates, and I have been immersed in the topic of leadership for decades. And more recently, over the past 2 years, Denny has been studying, reading about character, and also writing about character. And that wisdom is reflected in his latest book called Grow Strong Character. And more recently, he and I have been working together on content for a new program that we've recently released called GSL SkillBuilder. So the topic of character has been on my mind a lot, and it's such an essential part of leadership, but you won't find it talked about that often. And so I wanted to talk with you about that today. And I think the first place to start is, what do we mean by character? And I want to ask you to consider this question, and it's one that I posed to attendees at a webinar I recently conducted for another organization. And I asked them to put in the chat, what words came to mind when they heard the phrase strong character? So just think about that for a moment. What is your answer to that question? I bet you can guess what word or words came up. The one that had the largest number of responses by far was integrity, or some version of that, like doing the right thing. There were some other interesting answers too. Words like trust, self-awareness, honesty, humility, and emotional intelligence. I won't cover them all right now, but you get the idea. I'm curious what your response was, and you can contact me later and let me know if you came up with these same words or something else. I think it's helpful to have a common definition that we all are operating from. And so I want to share our definition with you. Here it is. It's a composite of dozens of behavior patterns that enable us to deal with the hard things in life by doing what's right as well as doing what's effective. I want to say that again just to let you absorb it. Character is a composite of dozens of behavior patterns that enable us to do the hard things in life by doing what's right as well as by doing what's effective. We refer to these behavior patterns as skills because just like any other leadership skills such as listening, giving feedback, or delegating, character skills can be strengthened throughout a lifetime of repetition. And you can do this at work, at home, and in response to life's many challenges. And the way that we've chosen to describe these character skills is by organizing a set of 36 skills into 3 major groups: developing a stronger self, stronger relationships, and stronger work ethic. And let me give you some examples of the skills in each one of these. By the way, I will make the complete list of the skills available on the show notes page, and it's also available on our website if you go to growstrongleaders.com and you click on the link for GSL SkillBuilder. You'll see that there's a PDF you can download to get all of the skills. But in the area of self, as you might guess, self-awareness is first. And there are other self areas like self-discipline and self-confidence. Self also includes areas like resilience, composure, and patience. How do I manage myself and my emotions in situations that require these specific skills? The second area is relationships, and these include skills like integrity, honesty, trust, and empathy. Skills that deal with how we manage our interactions with others, how we show up, how we behave in our dealings with other people. And the third area is around work ethic. And this includes skills like accountability, initiative, perseverance, and excellence. Now, the fact is, these aren't really exclusive to one specific area like self, relationships, and work ethic. But it just made it easier to grasp the 3 areas with 12 skills in each, rather than have this one large list of 36 skills. The other thing that's interesting is as you work to improve one particular skill related to character, you can indirectly strengthen other skills. For example, as you learn to demonstrate empathy with others, it's likely you're going to become more compassionate at the same time. So this organization that we've created makes it easier to understand that character is not just one thing. It's a myriad of things. And the other good news is that you can strengthen them. As we've talked with people about character, one of the questions that's come up is, well, gosh, how do you improve character? How can you develop it? And the fact is, character is a skill, as I mentioned, like any other skill. So if you think of it as a behavior pattern that you can strengthen over time, that helps you shift away from phrases like character traits that seem more fixed and permanent. The good news is character can be strengthened. It can be developed. And that's one of the things that, to me, is good news around this whole area of why character development is important for leaders so they become stronger over time. And I want to share 2 areas that really point to the importance of developing character as a leader. The first one is around emotional intelligence. You know, there are assessments that measure this whole area that has been come to be known as emotional intelligence. And one is around self-management. How do I manage myself, my emotions? How do I show up? And the other is around social competence, how I manage my relationships with other people. And the reality is, character is an important aspect of all of those parts of emotional intelligence. So, if we focus on improving specific aspects of character, it is naturally going to follow that we're going to increase our emotional intelligence as well. The other area that's important is around the core values of an organization. And your organization may have invested time in a strategic planning process that included creating a mission statement, creating an exciting vision for the future, and creating core values that represent who you are as an organization. And you may have even involved your entire team or everyone in the organization as a part of the creation of those. But the thing is, it's not enough to just create a set of values. What you want to look at next is, what can we do to help people develop so they live into those values every day? And I did a search. You can do the same search looking on the most common core values that organizations create as their standards. And you probably won't be surprised to hear that the most popular ones include areas like integrity, trust, creativity, excellence, courage, teamwork, and service. All of these are also aspects of character. So as you help people develop into those values, they will strengthen their character and be more effective, not just as contributors or leaders within your organization, but as human beings. And so there are two things to think about when you look at how do we develop people and how do we help them strengthen these character skills. Well, the first aspect is acquiring more knowledge so they understand what it is, like integrity. What is integrity? Why is it important? And what does it look like in action? And the second component is around practice. What do I do to use this skill every day frequently enough so that I rewire my brain and that becomes my natural way of doing things? So think about that for your own development as a leader, gaining the knowledge that helps you better understand a specific character skill you want to strengthen, and also looking at how can I be putting this into practice on a regular basis so I become that way as a part of who I am, as a part of how I show up, as a part of my interactions with others. And I want to just close by sharing two resources that we've created that can help you in these areas. The first one I mentioned earlier is Denny's new book, Grow Strong Character, which really goes into the what and the why and the how for all 36 of these skills. It's written as a guide and a handy reference book, so you don't have to read it front to back. You can open it and read the chapter on the specific skill you would like to strengthen, so you can find out more about it and what it looks like in action. The other resource is also one I mentioned, GSL SkillBuilder, where it includes Denny's book. It includes our other book, Connect with Your Team on the Top 10 Communication Skills. And it actually provides micro lessons for these 36 character skills and 10 high impact communication skills where you can learn not just what it is and why it's important, but how to practice that. Hold yourself accountable for using it and work with a coach of your choosing. It might be a one-on-one coach that's been brought in to your company. It might be a peer coach, someone who's going through a program with you, and the two of you work together. But the focus is on practice, coaching, and getting feedback along the way so that you can strengthen a particular skill over time and then work on another one. Character is such an important aspect of who we are as leaders, as human beings. It impacts the way we bring ourselves to work, to home life, to our friendships, to every area of our lives. And I'll be touching specifically in some of my upcoming solo episodes on specific skills, so you can find out what it is from our perspective, why it's important, and specific things that you can do to strengthen it. Until next time, I'm Meredith Bell, and I look forward to talking with you again on my next solo episode. Thanks for tuning into my podcast. Now head over to growstrongleaders.com and check out the powerful tools we've created to help leaders strengthen their character and communication skills. Until next time, I'm Meredith Bell.